So I want to talk about report writing. I want to talk about reflections on Monday's visit, okay, and possibly just do just some micro discussions among yourself about how your report might start to come together in groups of 3, okay? And we're going to revisit that on Thursday in much bigger detail because we want to finish halfway through the afternoon, not the end of the afternoon, so then you can go and do what you want to do, okay? Put your hand up. Is that a good plan? What do you think? Some of you. I need a majority here.
Yep.
Sorry, hands up. Not a minority, we need a majority, okay? All right, so I'm happy for that. All right, so let's have a look. What does a report look like? Well, the best way is to show you, not just to tell you, all right? So if you type in unlocking the scope 3 opportunity, that's the KPMG report I did with KPMG and PBET, Michael Walsh, who else? Anson was on the first one, but he wasn't on this second one. But you can see that was me, Michael Walsh, and a guy from Singapore. And so we published through KPMG out of Singapore. All right, I want to show you, this is something I tell students in all my classes. The report does not start with English. The report does not start with writing. Isn't it funny when in the assessment it says, oh, you have to write a report, right? And then you think, shit, what do I write? Sorry, what do I write first? Where do I start? You don't start with writing. Where do you think you start with a report? Pardon? The information, yes. You start with pictures. You start with graphs. You don't start with writing. And so if you look at the requirements of the report, I try to make my assessments very simple. You probably don't believe me after seeing the assessment for the, what do you call it, the blog post. And then I said, yeah, maybe, 1,200 words, 1,500 words, but I'd sooner, okay, 10 pages, no more. Then for 10 pages, I want 10 graphs, 10 pictures, 10 something. And then that becomes the skeleton of your report. The skeleton of your report is the facts and figures, the photos, all right? You put that on every page and then you write around it. With me? So your writing becomes your explanation of what the data is saying. You with me here? You don't start writing, think, oh shit, where do I get my data from to support what I want to say, all the references and all of that? No, it's the other way around. Okay, so if you're going to write about the factories you've visited, then is there a photo that captures something about what you want to write about? And then you put that smack bang in the middle of the page, right? 1/3 of the page, 1/4 of the page, and then you use the other 2/3 to write about that data, and that's how you get your report together. Of course, you've got to have a theme where 2 or 3 pages are sort of following the same type of theme, but the skeleton is the data, the skeleton is the pictures. And so, Neil, stop telling them what to do all the time. Why don't you show them? Okay, so, all right, I'll show you, all right? So, for example, this is a page, there's a graphic, and there's words to describe the graphic, okay? So this is a graphic that describes what scope 1, scope 2, and scope 3 means. And then scope 3 is scope 1 is the direct emissions that you use in your footprint. Scope 2 is what you purchase, purchase electricity, purchase water, things like that. And scope 3 is everything else. All right. So this is a graphic. It's part informational, but notice that and the purpose of this is to define something, and notice that we don't have 1,000 words, to explain what's going on, because a picture tells 1,000 words. So that's the first idea I want you to think about. All right. So Neil, do you have a diagram on each page? Just about, because look at that. We go to the next page. We got data, and guess what? The wording here is basically describing what this is. You see? Do you see where? So that's how you. Another page. Guess what's on another page? There's data, and then there's some words describing the data. You see that? All right. So that's the final report. I'm thinking, well, what's the story behind this? When, I spent 1-2 years collecting this data. This took a long time to get this together. Before I came to KPMG, it was already commissioned by KPMG, so I know that they were going to publish it. But I had to get everything together. I had to give them something, like a report. In the end, at the beginning, I gave them about 40 of these graphs across 40 pages, and there's some writing for each graph. And the writing was just very, very rough, describing what each graph is. That was all. KPMG went and did all the editing for here. And then they made it all nice and all of that, right? So what you need to be thinking as in your group is for your report, and let's have a look at the assessment. Task instructions. After visiting 2 Shenzhen manufacturing sites, Shenzhen, Guangdong, students will submit a report addressing the following key questions for each factory. And so, what is the underlying business model? How does the factory make money? What are the major domestic international markets, the growth? Each visit, direct observations. You can draw from your direct observations, answers from a staff, or written materials, presentations by the hosts. You can always reach out to Carl and ask him some questions. You can reach out to Renaud, ask him some questions. They're all contactable, right? And the same thing for tomorrow and the port tour, right? And then I give you a recommended instruction, like maybe an introduction, business model analysis, number 1 challenge, future strategy, critical reflection. And, maybe you don't address all of these equally, like there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then you say, we've got to do 2 pages each. No, maybe you want to focus more on one element and less on another. Then that's okay. All right? I don't want you to do a cookie cutter approach. That is, you just do the report that I want to see. I think you want to reflect on yesterday. Was there anything that surprised you yesterday? Nothing.
The temperature of first factory?
The temperature.
Yeah, really hot.
It was hot. Okay. Anything else?
The nap breaks out.
Oh yeah, it's sleeping. Anything else?
Just the rows and rows of sewing machines, how many they fit in the whole building? I thought that was just crazy.
And what, just so close together?
Yeah.
Right next to each other.
that they're paid per piece that they sew, not a salary as per se.
Oh, I wasn't sure about that. Did you?
Yeah, we asked them. Yeah.
Well, that's interesting. And next.
The scale of how many different types of productions could be done by the first business, first factory in their specifically their prototyping center. They could create so many different types with their machines of products. Like,
And what was the hardest part of doing that?
specifically actually making the prototype and then having to work through making the mold, making changes to the mold to be able to make it proper for the client.
And what did they give the name to the mold? Remember, you was. Oh, by the way, that first factory, Reynolds factory, like in Australia, you wouldn't be allowed to walk around where you walked. And you'd have to have vest on and safety goggles and hard hat and everything. But did you see? You know, standing there, suddenly there's an overhead crane going past. You know, carrying. What was it carrying?
Like a truck, like a piece of metal, 100 kilos. you
Yeah,
said.
and what is that? That's the mold. That's we call tooling, right? Yeah. So, you know, you can ask Renault about that.
I was surprised that your machinery didn't have any safety measures from what you could tell. Like the employees, like even though it wasn't on, they could just stick their hands in and get like electrocuted or whatever. Whereas in Australia, you have, if you put like your hand or you stood in a certain spot, the machine would stop, like it would just turn off.
Oh, yeah, so no different safety level.
Like OH&S isn't really a thing.
Huh?
OH&S isn't really a thing.
Yeah. But Renault told you, right? Don't get too close or you'll be what? Yeah.
That's your OH&S policy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, like in Australia, you wouldn't be even allowed on the same floor. You know, yeah. Oh no, very good observations. Any more?
I loved how intricate Reynolds' factory was. Like how to make a mold, it has to be like to a tenth of a millimeter
Yes.
in exact perfections, using electrodes to drill the holes. Like it's,
Right.
it's far more intricate than I thought.
And did you see one of the workers had a little file and they're going like this? Did you see that? Like just making it perfect. Yes. Yeah.
It was interesting when Renault compared like 3D printing of an object versus using the thermoplastic. So I think with thermoplastic, it's a lot more testing, like Michael saying, like testing and like designing. But then once you get it right, it was saying it's like 5 to 10 times cheaper than their 3D printing the same thing.
Yeah.
That was pretty interesting.
And you saw the shower head come out of the injection molding machine, right? And then later on you saw the packaging of the shower head. So you saw the start and finish. Yes. Yes, Simon? Yes. Right.
Maybe like there were so many different products being made all in one factory area. That is like a new I literally think never been that many in just one area.
Yeah. Earlier?
Probably just the working conditions were pretty poor.
The first one or second one?
Quite little. Quite from like plastic chairs and especially in the second one it was like pretty cramped space.
Oh, you mean all the sewing machines lined up?
Yeah.
Yeah, we had, when we were doing sewing, we had a bit of space. Palla, is that right? There wasn't a sewing machine next to us. We had a bit more space when we were there. Yeah. Okay. All right. So, you know, the best way for you to do an assignment is just to start with, when you're speaking in your groups, and tomorrow you're going to do another factory visit, and then by then you're going to have 3, and when when you go back into your group, come back on Thursday at Metropolitan University, Metropolitan University, then you'll have a better idea. And so my encouragement is to, your question is, what do we write about? Write about stuff that, oh, this is interesting. Write about something that's interesting to you, all right? What you found interesting and what surprised you or something. Don't write about what I think is interesting, right? Because remember what Professor Yuki said, what Anson said, your own eyes, exactly, right? So I encourage you that way. That's more interesting. You'll be more interested in writing a report if it's from your own eyes, okay? So I encourage you to do that, all right? So first of all, start with pictures, then words. Don't start with words and then find pictures. Okay, all right. And I think I took about, yesterday I took about 100 photos and about 20 videos, so I'm happy to post them into the Teams. Not your WeChat, otherwise you'll just right? Put that into Teams so you can go back and search through that if there's a particular thing you want to highlight. Yes, ma'am.
Is it possible if you put it on a WhatsApp, because it just comes up with images, we can't see the actual picture, like through the Teams page? It's right there.
Oh, on your computer.
It's right over there.
But you mean the file sharing is not very efficient on Teams? Yeah.
We'll figure it out.
Yeah, it's all good. It's all good.
Okay. Right. If that file's went, better to I give you a link to Dropbox. I use Dropbox. Okay. But Neil, you keep online. You're saying a picture and a word. Is that really on every page? Yes. Okay. Industry report. Picture. Picture. Words. You with me here? So your hardest part, your most difficult part for your report is to figure out what data and what pictures do I want to put together to tell the theme, the story, or whatever. That's your hardest job. Yeah. The English is easy once you've got the series of pictures and graphs of words. Maybe you have some data you want to download off the internet or something and put that source in, then you do that. That's your hardest part for your report. The English is easy once you do that. All right? So that's the big encouragement I'll give you today, and when you go out to the factory, it's going to be funny because tomorrow you'll be taking 1,000 photos instead of note taking. I said take notes, but you know I've been taking lots of photos anyway. So if it's someone else's photos, it's yours. I think that's fine. Just put in the source or whatever. Okay. Is this helpful? Yes or no? Right. So, but Neil, you only show 2 pages. What about the next page? All right, you with me here? Like, this is a industry report, okay? So all I'm asking you to do is do a report that kind of like what you'd have to do for industry rather than for academia. Are you with me here? Right? So, right. Oh, there's no data on that one. Just 1 page, all right? You forgive me for that one, all right? There's a picture there, some data at the bottom, lots of words. Again, more data. A table. This is a table, all right? So you may think about putting a table together that may summarize something. That may summarize where do you think you may use a table? What to illustrate?
Comparisons between them.
Yeah, comparison. factory A, factory B, factory C, or something. And you may not be comparing everything, you may be just focused on the HR considerations, or the environmental considerations, or the operation. Yes.
For the report, do we need references? For the report, do we need references?
What type of references?
Like APA, 7, like academic source?
Yeah, I know. Okay, number one, yes. It'd be nice to, yes, it'd be good to have some, but do you need a ton of references? No, because your main reference should be your visits.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, so like two is fine. 2 or 3.
Maybe. I would imagine, for example, you've got 2 factories. Maybe you're referencing their website for information, then you need to.
Okay, so it doesn't have to be academic.
No, it does not have to be academic. No. No. Yes.
So you just like use yourself as like where you apply information from, like you heard it from one of the people that like shows you around factory.
Like talking to Carl and Renault,
Yeah.
then you just put conversation with whoever. Make it very clear. Yep. All right. So table, that's very good for comparing one to other, right? Right? Okay. Can you see like another page? Data, writing, do you get the message? All right, so the biggest mistake that I think a lot of professors tell students is, report, 1,500 words, go do the report. But they don't, that's not how industry reads reports. Industry reads reports by looking at facts and figures. And maybe there's just a little bit of a description explaining what's going on. You with me here? Yeah. More data, see? Okay. Remember, you can download this. This is, you just do scope, this one, or what was the other one? Sourcing shift. I don't know. Source. That's the basic, that's the most and the least, most effective way I can guide you on assessment 3. Because what happens is, once you've spent the time to find the right pictures, the right data to put together, okay, then the English is more like the cement that goes around the bricks. You with me here? So it's the bricks that make the wall, the cement just holds it together. Right? Rather than the other way around, the English is not the bricks, it's the data and the pictures. So you're building a wall. So when you come to present, basically, are you presenting the cement or the bricks? You're presenting the house. Okay, what do all these bricks mean? Very good. Very good. All right. Okay, you know, what is this house that you've built out of the theme and things like that? And then you talk about individual parts of the bricks that formulate that theme. That's what you're doing. You know? And the great thing about that is if you've spent the time to find the pictures, oh, I saw that, I got a picture, it's Neil's picture, but I was there and I saw that anyway, all right? And then you've been to the factory, and then you've spoken to Carl, you've spoken to Renault. When you come to present, guess what's going to happen? You're going to be more authentic, right? Because you did it. It's not something that you had to memorize. You're with me here, right? So when you come to present, you just say, wow, you know, this is what I observed. This is it, right? So your presentation becomes much easier because you're focused on the bricks and not the cement. All right. How many of you have been taught that before, how to do the report? Is this the first time? Right? Industry report. All right, so I will stop there. Any questions? Presentation.
I guess like a challenge would be we need to figure out like creative ways to visualize some of the data or like that we found, I guess.
Yeah, well that's exactly, and that takes some time, right?
Yeah.
Okay, that takes some time to do. I'll give you an example. Remember Ben Simpendorfer? I told you that he met me at the conference in 2012 and he asked me to join the China lab and all that. I was really encouraged by his LinkedIn posts. But also he taught me how to do report writing like this. And the way he'd do conclusions. Has anyone taught you how to do a conclusion? Do you know how to do a conclusion for an industry report? Right? It's very easy. You don't summarize. Okay? Right? You don't summarize. Like, if I asked you to summarize, then you might as well just, here AI, here's the report. Can you do a summary for me? Then AI just makes it, right? Well, that doesn't help. It may not be integrity, but you can imagine a lot of people do that. You understand, right? Okay. All right. Here's what Ben taught me. Remember what the professor earlier, Hoyuki, said? Find role models. Ben, in some ways, was a role model for me. He's still in Hong Kong. He said, and I saw his reports, there's just 3 parts to a conclusion. What do you think those 3 parts are? I've already given you hints by asking you questions in the last 30 minutes.
Reflection and findings of the whole report.
It's more than too much, but more positives. What are the positives? Positives, right? And so if one part is, here are some positives, what's another part? Exactly. Wow. How did you work that out? All right. And what would be the third part of a conclusion? Now, I've already asked you about 12 minutes ago. When I asked you about your visit yesterday, what was your biggest takeaway? No, I used the S word, I think.
Surprise.
Exactly, all right? Did I say that?
Interested, surprised.
No, did I say what was your biggest surprise?
human brain remembers 10% of.
I said that, right?
Yeah.
Well, we played video, I think I said that. What is your biggest surprise? So that's it. That's your conclusion. Positives, negatives, surprises. Right? Associated with whatever you talked about. But how easy is that? Right? And positives from your viewpoint, negatives from your viewpoint. Right? Surprises from your viewpoint. Wow. Not my viewpoint. Your, like, I've been in this region for 30 years. You should ask me, Neil, were you surprised by anything yesterday? Yes. I was surprised by I think I was surprised by when I was at Reynolds thing, and I was there in January to see those two big intelligent molding machines. In fact, that he's paid $500,000 for them. I'm thinking, okay, I didn't know he had that much demand to get a $500,000 machine, two of them set up in the factory. Like, yeah, that surprised me. Because I asked him later, I asked Renault, oh, what's your ROI on these machines? I'm sure you don't get payback in the first 1 or 2 years. He said, yeah, it's a few more years than that. That surprised me. And the second factory, what surprised me was the sales team. I was blown away by the sales team. Just number one, how, I don't know, what, were you surprised by the sales team?
Presentation.
Or was it just me? How, they were all on the same page. Do you know what I mean? It wasn't that 3 of them were excited and then 2 of them weren't. Do you know what I mean? Like, they were all excited. They all seemed to have a genuine wanting to get to know you and speak in English. I'm thinking, wow, you know, I haven't seen a sales team like that. I was surprised, you know, and I could write a report by how, you know, how did Eaton create the culture. It strikes me that if I'm a foreign client and I'm coming to China to visit, say, 3 suppliers, and I'm going to choose one of them, right? And don't worry, there's about 20 or 30 of factories like Eaton in that area. You can visit 2 or 3 of them in one day. Which one am I going to choose? And with me here, if they're all making the same thing, then I might go with the one that has that culture that made me feel, number 1, welcome. Number 2, they spoke in my language. And number 3, they just seemed to be all on the same page. It wasn't just one person. That surprised me. That's mine. That's mine. You can't write about that surprise. Unless that surprised you. Just sharing with you. Positive, negative surprises. Negatives. I have to work on it, right? And there was some automation in both factories, right? Like the cutting and all of that was totally automated, right? For the Eaton factory, yes, no?
Actually couldn't figure that part out.
How many layers of cutting at a time? Was it 50? 50, okay? So there's a fact, right? Yeah. So, are you in? So can I just get you to, in your groups of 3, maybe just for no more than 10 minutes, all right? We don't want to take the afternoon, okay? And just have this is your first together as 3 to talk about, just to reflect and maybe help you prepare for the visit tomorrow. Because tomorrow's going to be sort of halfway between Renault's factory and halfway between Eaton. Eaton is fashion, Renault is contract manufacturing, do you know what I mean? Contract manufacturing, all right? Whereas tomorrow, you're going to see full assembly, like full-on assembly operations, where you've got a conveyor belt going through and people on the assembly line. You really didn't see that yesterday.
For factory one, Renault, when you mentioned the automated aspect, you mean are you referring to like the plastic molding machines?
Pardon? It's
What parts of Renault's factory are automated, like the machines?
yeah. So you don't have the logistics is not automated, right? It's when an injection molding machine spits something out, a human has to take it to somewhere else. You with me? All right. But yeah, the only part which is really the injection molding. It's not so automated in that way. Yeah. Whereas in Eaton, they had that clothesline that went around the top, right? I know Pella, myself, you put the fabric onto the hook, and then you push the button, and then off it went, going around. Like that's semi-automation. Yeah, interesting. Are there machines that can do the sewing that you saw yesterday? I don't know. I guess there are something like that out there. So, can I ask you just for 10 minutes, no more, to, in your groups of 3, just to, like this is your first time you've talked about assignment 3, is that right?
Yep.
Yeah, all right. Just 10 minutes, all right? I don't want to take your afternoon, all right? Just for 10 minutes. And now that I've given you some sense of what you have to do, is there some angle that you may want to discuss and focus on? Yeah. Tomorrow you're going to have it's going to be electric scooter manufacturing. They might have other, Freeman, when I went there, that was a decade ago, they were doing hoverboards and that was fully automated, except they had someone working on each part. And then in another factory, they had a fully automated line where they were making batteries for pocket bank machines. They were doing all sorts. So tomorrow's going to be a surprise to me as much to you about what we expect to see. But I know the owner is very visionary. So, all right, groups of 3, please. If you got your group.